Welcome to Deep Dive Daily.
What up? Good morning, Andy. Um, Happy fuck around Friday. Happy Good Friday. Hopefully you have plans with family and friends this Easter weekend. Spring break here at long last for a lot of folks. It was crazy. Like, I feel like this is a super duper late spring break for a lot of
It
people.
is. My
And
kids were off like 3 weeks ago.
but like what it's very noticeable. Like people were upset, angry, scrambling, working. Markets were tumultuous, and then this week it's just everybody just need a break. Like I've barely gotten any calls and emails, meetings canceled left and right. Like it has been a very productive week for me. I've gotten a lot of work done, which is nice. And I've really been able to sink my teeth into the draft markets now that we have some bookmaker prices. Been tracking a lot of that. So I want to talk about the big moves that we've seen in the over-under markets there. Because at the top of the draft, Andy, lacking a little drama.
It is. I mean, we get this every few years. We get this every few years where it's like, all right, it's the quarterback. It's a month out. We know it's the quarterback. Such is life. But it does feel kind of solidified at 2, which kind of solidifies 3. There's a lot of buzz and smoke around 4 just being what it is. 5 has been kind of, unless you want to get contrarian, 5 feels kind of locked in a month ago as well, and and then at that point it gets a little goofy, but it's still the same handful of names that are 6 through 10. So yeah, it does like some smoke, some steam, some heat, some sauce, some drip, but it's still fun. And honestly, like it's not an event for you to make a shitload of money on anymore. Books are better at this. They're putting things out much later. They're putting things out with much lower limits. It's not some, hey, let's get rich because this is a high uncertainty event. I think you can probably, like we did the other day, you can make some money on some long shot prices, maybe finding some, position stuff. We talked Raiders to draft an offensive lineman. That was just super good luck and timing by us having that conversation. I took small amounts at 10-1. It's like 2-1 now, just because there's a little bit of smoke now. So it's fun, but it's still, it does lack what it did a few years ago.
I mean, obviously there could still be chaos. There could still be surprises. There could still be trades, but it sounds like the top 3 is now set in stone. We had a press conference yesterday where Andrew Berry was asked approximately 1,500 questions about Travis Hunter, and he, in a couple of the answers, he kind of slipped in terms of how they would use him, and
like he's already
if he's
team,
here, if and when he's here. I think my favorite was when he compared him to Shohei Ohtani, which was funny because our friend Thor Nystrom released his player comps like maybe 3 hours before and comped Travis Hunter to Shohei Ohtani, and so I had a giggle about that because I had just read his piece. But typically if your GM is comparing a player to Shohei Ohtani, it's a pretty good guess that he's just going to take that guy with the second overall pick. Giants, Shedeur Sanders has finally kind of gotten to where it should be, I think, in terms of people understanding what's going on there, which is that he's not really in the running for the third overall pick, but they do have interest if he is there at 34 or whatever else they pick. I mean, guys who we're friends with, who are well connected in the media space in both New England and Jacksonville, seem pretty confident that it's going to go Campbell and Graham 4 or 5. And if there's any softness in either of those, it's apparently just because those front offices are still hoping against hope that the 2 and 3 do something stupid and one of those good players falls to them. And in the absence of that, they're just going to go chalk. That's kind of where I read it.
Yeah, I think the nuclear option, the blow up, is that we're wrong about the Giants, and they're so worried about the Steelers and the Seahawks and the Rams taking some quarterbacks, and the Giants do something wild and take a quarterback at 3. If that happens, I mean, all bets are off. Some shit can get weird. I think that's the one you could monetize on. If anyone actually knew, hey, the Giants are going to do something colossally stupid, you can make some money because some of those prices on what would happen from the chain reaction of that are pretty good. I think that's a 1%, but I'm still putting it as a non-zero possibility because it's the Giants.
I know it's the Giants and it's quarterbacks, and I know this may ultimately age extremely poorly, but I am at the point where I wouldn't be shocked if there's one quarterback in round one at this point. And that's just because like all of these teams I feel like they've done all of their homework on all of these guys, and the second and third best guys aren't that different than the fourth and the fifth best guys. And everybody has a little bit different opinion how you rank those guys. And I think they're all willing to just see who falls into their lap in round two. That's the general sense that I'm getting. And I don't know that the Seahawks and the Steelers are really all that inclined to, waste good draft capital on, reachy quarterback. I don't know that the Saints are willing to, risk really good draft capital on a reachy quarterback. So I don't know. If you made me put my feet to the fire right now and you said you can have one of over under 1.5 quarterbacks in round one, I know that it would be a massive minus odds over 1.5, but I would probably take under with my life.
Well, you'd get a big fat number because it's sitting at 2.5.
I'm just saying, like, if even if it wasn't a 50, I'm saying it's not a 50-50 prospect, but like the way I kind of read things right now, I'm almost going to be a little surprised if there's a second QB outside of a trade up, and who the hell knows?
That's the thing. Like there's a non-zero possibility there are 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
Yeah,
because it feels like when a team is going to take a quarterback, it is either, hey, our guy's going to be there so everybody can know we're drafting first or we're drafting second in last year's draft, and everybody knows we're going to take the next quarterback or third or however it was. But if you're not in that spot, you keep it so incredibly tight to the chest that it doesn't escape like a small group of people. I don't know. That's what we had with Penix. I mean, even the Vikings. The Vikings were not a lock to take a quarterback. It felt like there was a shot. The same thing with the Broncos. A lot of people were mocking a lot of different players to the Vikings, Broncos, and who's the other one? And obviously the Falcons. Like when you are going to take a quarterback and it's not just, hey, we can get our guy because we're at the top of the draft, you keep that really, really close to the chest. And it's either going to be teams are willing to wait and say, I can get a guy in the second round, or somebody is going to jump. And then 2 or 3 of those other teams who are like, oh shit. And somebody else is going to trade back into the first. Somebody else was also keeping something close. Like
I'm not buying it.
No, it feels like the range is there. I'm not saying this is a high possibility, but
I think last year there was just there were more teams that had first round grades on guys. This year, I'm not getting a sense that anyone has a first round grade on anyone outside of Ward.
I don't know. Like, there's some people that are pretty high on Milrow. There's some teams that are high on Dart. There's teams
as a first round pick.
Tyler's because it's quarterback, and they're worried because that's the thing. When there's 4 or 5 other teams that might do it, you worry you don't get your guy, and you say like, we just have to fire on this. Although I did love what the Patriots GM had said about some of that stuff, like, and I think Barry kind of said the same thing too. Like, you can't reach at certain spots. You can't overreach, otherwise it just puts you in such a bad spot. Taking a position of need when it's not there. So yeah. I'm of the thought process there will be 2 quarterbacks in the first round, but I'm not going to be, just based on what happened last year. Those teams were so quiet about it, and I think other teams learned from that you can't let that get out, because at that point someone's going to trade ahead of you. If you're at the back end of round 1. There's plenty of teams that can trade into that and snag a guy.
I mean, with the Falcons situation, that literally changed the entire paradigm. And we didn't know what the Falcons apparently knew, which was they had bigger question marks about Kirk Cousins' long-term availability, even after they gave him that money, than anyone knew. And they were right.
And I think we can obviously say that about the Steelers quarterback situation, about the Rams.
Well, they haven't seen any of the guys they've signed yet, and they're not coming off of Achilles surgery.
Well, we don't know where Stafford's at right now, too. That's been a near retirement.
He didn't have surgery, did he?
No, but it's been a near retirement for like 3 years.
Okay.
I just worry some of those teams are being a little coy, and something stupid is going to happen in the back half of the draft.
Maybe. It's gonna have to come down to trades though, and I don't feel like getting involved in that. Let's go through after the top 5. I think the draft starts at 6. We still don't have any idea where the Raiders are gonna go. The Ashton Genty stuff there, I was a little skeptical of it just because it was so consensus and it didn't really feel like there was a good reason outside of the one clip by Spytech about his kid wanting Genty, which was like, okay, this is fluff. Like, why is this being used as information?
I think it was just a dig at the Giants.
I guess, yeah.
Honestly, that's what it felt like. Like, hey, you remember that clip from when the kid told him to take the
Barkley.
No, the quarterback for Washington. He told him to take I like Jaden Daniels. That was part of it too. He's like, oh, Jaden Daniels is really good, and you should draft him or whatever. And obviously that worked. That kid should get a job, you know.
And Spytech's comments about, you know, that he had another set of comments that were circulated that to me read as they were very, very cagey in terms of where they ultimately want to go, but it feels like it's his decision. And it feels like they could do a number of different things. And Genty does not feel like a very high likelihood there, but maybe I'm wrong. I got tackle on the brain for the Jets, and then it gets weird after that. Tight end on the brain for the Bears, defensive line on the brain for the Niners. No fucking idea what the Saints do at 9.
What if it's Banks to the Jets? Are you still saying Bears get a tackle, the 4th tackle off the board at 10?
The Bears? No, tight end.
Okay, I thought you said tackle.
Tight end for the tight end on the brain for the Bears.
Sure.
Defense on the brain for the Panthers. Although there was some good smoke that is just going to be Walker. If he's available, even everything else is weird after that. But let's look at some of the numbers and talk about
Cowboys and obviously there's a little bit of steam around corner for Miami now because of the situation there with their corner number 1. And if things hash out and the Niners don't take a corner, nobody does at that point, Miami can take, you know, their pick of whatever one they want at that point. So that one does make a little sense. It's probably going to be how it gets mocked. But at the same time, I think that's going to depend on what goes ahead of them. If we're wrong about the tackles and they fall even a little bit, Miami has to probably look at getting that. If one of those top 3 tackles is on the board,
absolutely,
I think you grab Banks. If Banks is off the board, you take Barron or
secondary.
You take a secondary piece.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go down the board here and talk about actual numbers and odds. So Genty has been bet to the under 9.5 on Bookmaker. I don't know if this is signal or not, but I will note that Circa opened up 6.5 as their Genty number, which means that this is now potentially not signal that he's going under 9.5. It's maybe more arbitrage opportunity. Like, that's a fat middle. 7, 8, 9. Like, the idea that somebody's not going to trade up or down in that range to get Genty if he's available, I would not. I'm surprised that they gave people shots at that middle. But Genty, for what it's worth, that Bookmaker has moved from minus 225 to minus 335. That is a 7.8% probability shift to the good. Colston Loveland, he is, of course, the tight end from Michigan. His under 18.5 has moved from minus 246 to minus 277. At one point, he was a 19.5. That's only a 2.4% shift since we got the 18.5 that popped. But, you know, there's a little bit of support for him going in the top 18 picks. Egbuka, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, his total is 29.5. That has moved from minus 167 to minus 202. That is a 4.3% shift that he is going to go in the top 29 picks. Some buzz there that there is a floor for him with Houston. Although if Houston does not take an offensive lineman, I'm going to fall out of my chair. So we'll see how that goes. Barron, has been a polarizing one. Jody Barron was at one point one of the biggest bets over. People did not think he was going to go in the top 18. That has come all the way back, and there is basically now flat action. Those are always fun at Bookmaker when you see two-way stuff in these markets, because people are clicking, and then somebody else is clicking back, and the auto mover is just toiling away back and forth on those sort of things. And we've seen that a couple of places. Wide receiver one is a good example, but it's we're seeing it with Barron as well. I don't have an opinion. Jackson Dart is getting bet over 24.5. Agree. Yeah. That was at one point plus 156. It's now plus 109. That is an 8.8% shift. Slightly notable action for Jihad Campbell over 18.5. He's, of course, the linebacker with the shoulder injury. He has gone from minus 171 to minus 192. That's a 2.7% shift for his over 18.5. A lot of 18.5s on this in terms of totals. I wonder why that's such a pivot point.
I mean, a lot of these defensive guys too. There's spots right before that in Arizona, and I guess Seattle can be looking at some of those players too.
Malachi Starks has been an over bet. A lot of over support for Starks. He's gone from his over 23.5 has gone from minus 101 to minus 136. That's a 7.4% shift. Nobody is betting Mason Graham one way or the other.
No.
He opened at minus 155. He stands at minus 155 for
what
under
was, Starks. Excuse me. What was Starks? 23.5?
23.5. Yeah. And that's been bet over by 7%. That's one of the bigger moves on the board. I didn't see that coming.
I get so many. There's a lot of makes sense to go to Minnesota at 24. I'm just trying to think of other spots where he would go before that. I mean, there are some teams that could. Well, he's very versatile. I think if
that's what I'm saying. Miami. If Miami needs a defensive back you can kind of move him around. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't have any connection to him with any team. This is the one I want. Excuse me. This is one I want to get your opinion on. Matthew Golden. He is, of course, the wide receiver from Texas. His over-under is 17.5. The under has been bet from plus 112 to minus 153. That is a 13.3% shift. That is also correlated with a lot of support for wide receiver one. And all of this apparently is just one guy who's got his finger on the pulse of what Jerry and Stephen Jones want to do. And he has flipped his opinion from them taking wide receiver one, Ted McMillan, to wide receiver one, Matthew Golden. Is that your read on the situation as well, Andy?
Yeah, I don't think there's any actual info on.
It's just one guy, right? It's just one reporter.
Yeah, it's a little bit of smoke, like from that one guy out of Dallas, and we've decided, Jeremiah doesn't like Tet. A couple other big names don't like Tet, and a lot of that is, again, it's not that Daniel Jeremiah doesn't have information, because he does. But I put him more in the evaluators category, and where he's looking at evaluations and fit and some of the, the metrics. So, I mean, I think there's teams that do like Tet. I think there's more teams that don't, but it's one of those things where it just takes one team. And the fact that this Golden, all the market support and all the talk and all the tweets and all the articles, the fact that this hasn't flipped really for wide receiver one has me very leery and wary, and probably not getting involved in either of those over-unders or first wide receiver drafted.
Okay. Daniel Jeremiah, by the way, just a quick sidebar. He had a comment on his last pod that bummed me out. He was basically like, yeah, there's some chaos, which is awesome for us. And the uncertainty, like he's been NFL pilled the way that Rap Sheet was, where, Rap Sheet was stirring up. The Cardinals are looking at Chase Young or was it Chase Young, or they were considering Bosa instead of Kyler Murray? I can't even remember who it was. Nick Bosa. They're bringing in Nick Bosa. They're not sure about Kyler Murray yet with the first overall pick on the day of the draft,
Yeah.
and we're like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's minus 10,000. Like, stop. And it feels like Jeremiah has been a little NFL pilled in terms of just trying to create a little bit of drama, which makes him a less reliable source, because he used to be the sort of guy where he did not want to be wrong, you know? So anything that he said with like a modicum of confidence, you could run to the freaking window. I don't know if that's the case anymore. Mike Green, over 17.5, one of the hottest. This is tied with the next one as the hottest total on the board. Over 17.5 from Mike Green has gone from plus 131 to minus 154. That is a 17.3% swing in probability, implied probability. And that is because Mike Green has sexual assault allegations, which must be real if they are, or at least the allegations must going to have to be resolved in some way. If somebody is this sure he is not going in the top 17, that's my read at least.
Yeah, him and was it Hairston too? Has some allegations.
There's a couple of guys down the board. Yeah,
every time
Green is the only one that with a total. Yeah. The other big mover is Michael Williams. His under 15.5 has moved from minus 132 to minus 330. That is a 20% shift in implied probability. In digging on how and why that happened, from what I understand, there's somebody with intel from the Falcons. Now, again, why somebody didn't kind of just give us a little nudge. Hey, they're in the Penix market last year. Who knows? But apparently, Williams may have a promise from the Falcons that they're going to take him at 15 if he's even there. So Michael Williams, 15.5, has been getting blasted. The funny part about that is people are just blasting his under 15.5 and not touching his top 10 price, not touching his top 5 price. People like this is one specific information nugget that's fueling that, from what I can tell you, which is fun. There was at one point some sincere interest in betting Omarion Hampton over 19.5. That has cooled. He has gone from minus 229 to minus 256 now, 2.3% swing. Believe it or not, over the course of this week, Andy, Shedeur Sanders has not moved. It has gone up and it has come back down.
Yeah.
And he is now back at an 82% chance that he goes outside of the top 8, which of course is correct. Yeah, we're back to where we started there, even though that got a little interesting at one point.
Yeah, and I think, the Saints stuff probably has some merit. That's the other weird one, that if the Saints do think, hey, we got to take a quarterback because Derek Carr's being a pain in the ass here, that really would screw up the first round.
Yeah.
Good for the Bears. Good for the, Bears, Niners, Cowboys, Dolphins. Like, everything shifts back one. Like, if you're in the teens, you're just dying for 2 or 3 quarterbacks to go in weird spots. Somebody trade up and need to get Jalen Milroe at like 14 or something crazy. So I don't know. The Saints stuff makes sense. I don't buy it, but at the same time, I'm not super sure what the Saints are going to do then.
No,
and maybe it is again, talking my book, because I have a pretty big number on this. Maybe it is hey, we're going to take Genty.
Yeah.
If he's still there.
The last total at Bookmaker is Tyler Warren, and nobody's bet that all week. That's been sitting at 9.5 and no action either way, which is funny. I always love when those go up and nobody even sniffs it. Nobody is sniffing the running back over-unders. Nobody is really interested in under 2.5 quarterbacks, despite my confidence in that. I mean, I haven't betted even really, though. It's even though the number's pretty big. It's 260.
You're very confident for somebody who
plus
didn't
266. Well, I just am saying, like, this is the gut. Like, I'm not seeing, like, it's gonna take trades to get 3 home.
Well, I think, and we keep sounding like we're disagreeing on this. I think we're in great disagreement with this. I'm not seeing it. but I'm so gun shy because of
Yeah,
last
right.
year where it's like,
Yeah, you're right.
oh
You're
my
right. I
God,
haven't played it for the
all
same
these
reason
teams
that
are
you
like,
haven't played it. Right.
yeah, all these
You're
teams were quiet as a church mouse, and it's like quarterback,
yeah.
window, quarterback,
Bang,
window,
bang,
quarterback.
bang. Over 6.5 linemen has gotten bet. That was at one point plus 174. It's now plus 132. That's a 6.6% shift. And that basically is just like kind of like every year. There are some linemen who have marginal first round grades who may just go to the good teams at the end of round one, as always.
They're like 4
so-
or 5 that are, somewhere between 20 and 50,
Yeah,
or 20 and
yeah.
40 even. And I think that's where you can't have the trade backs, because the people trading back into the first round aren't doing it for a guard.
Yeah.
You need Kansas City keeping their pick, taking a tackle.
Yeah. And
You need, maybe Baltimore too.
Yeah. And that is your draft prop update. A couple of comments we wanted to talk through. Matt Lawrence says, "What the fuck is going on with Dame? No one knows. He'll be back game 3.
He's a miracle of my. Did you read the tweet?
The Shams. Oh my God! What a miracle! Oh baby!
I don't want to get political,
What
but it read like a Trump
miracle.
tweet. Like, no one has ever healed from this. Like, I have healed from this. And it was crazy. And then I'm like, oh my God! And then you get to the end, like, he's gonna ramp it up. He'll be back sometime. When you read the first part of the tweet, it's like he's starting, and not only is he starting, they're only going to play 4 players because he's so starting right now.
Yeah.
And then you get to the end, it's like, oh, he's still out.
Yeah.
I thought it was actual news.
Like Show Magazine says, waves hello. Good morning, glue sniffers. Like Show Magazine. The other general thoughts here. Berto says, did you guys talk about NBA yet? I have 2 small plays in action tonight. I am on Memphis. It's -6. Very small stake, and actually a bigger stake. Actually, I have Miami to win. I think Atlanta feels 1, 2, 3 Cancun to me. So I think the Heat
Miami
go through
looked
as the 8.
engaged.
Yes, they did, and the Hawks did not. So, too high for Ja, 26.5 points. I don't disagree with that. I think this is going to be a JJJ game. In my opinion, I know that there's bigs that are good for Dallas defensively, but JJJ's got to step up in this one, in my opinion. Zach Edey's going to be able to have his way too. I think I like the way they're integrating him now. We'll see. I mean, Memphis. It was very much a hold your nose and lay the points with Memphis for me. Anyway, no other basketball until mañana, at which point I have a lot of basketball. My favorite play for Saturday, of course, is the Lakers over. That's the only one where I've gone. I actually haven't bet this yet because I'm still waiting for it, but alt overs there are going to be fun. I'm going to have a bunch of those, but 216 is absurd to me. I think that should be closer to 226. I almost said 266. 226, I think, is closer to fair there. All right, Andy, let's talk about the weekend. What is on the? Yeah, tell me what's in the works for you this weekend.
I'm a little miffed at the weather. We got heavy rains overnight, making the yard a little wet, a little muddy, because I borrowed the wood splitters. I said I split probably 3 face cords of wood in just a big pile. And like we talked about, it is Good Friday. The kids don't have school today. I was going to go full Laura Ingalls Wilder. You only have kids to make them work on the farm.
Go build a log cabin.
Stack wood all day. Fuck, it's so gross out right now. So hopefully it's nicer tomorrow. I am heading to somewhere near Eau Claire to visit my brother. He's going to host Easter. I have pinned it down. He is going to make some type of roast pork, either dark beer gravy or mustard crusted.
Ooh.
So I am not only
this
is a 2-part question, and some of this can be later on if you follow me on Twitter, if you are in the Discord, tag me or whatever. But he built a brand new house. We haven't seen it yet. He's lived there for like 7 months, so it's not like full ass housewarming. But now my wife wants to make him like a housewarming basket. So I think I'm going to put the wine that we're bringing for dinner in the basket, and I don't know, like cheese, some candies. I don't know if you have some good ideas for what else to put in the basket. I think I may be in charge of buying shit for that. So help me out with that. But Drew's going to handle the wine.
Well, if you're going to Wisconsin, get him a nice cheddar.
Well, I mean, I'm going to buy it here. Although I
Oh.
could stop. There is a creamery on the way. I'd
There you go.
love to stop at.
That, dude, do that. That's a great call. That's what I would do for sure. Okay, so let me think about the gift basket some more. As far as the wine goes, if you're gonna do more like a tradition, if you're gonna do a pork roast, a grilled meats, grilled pork. If you're gonna do a Bissell Brothers shirt, it is a Bissell Brothers shirt. Shout out to Bissell Brothers. Beer of the week is Bissell Brothers. If you're gonna do a grilled meats like pork, roast pork, the one you described sounds like very rich, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Very flavorful. If you're gonna do a lamb, if you're gonna do a ham, all of these have something in common, Andy, and that they are all very rich, and kind of fatty. And for that, you're going to want a red wine that is going to stand up to the rich and fatty meat. And for my money, I'm going Rhone for that. For pork and lamb, give me a Rhone. Now, when I say a red wine that stands up, that basically is going to rule out Pinot Noir and Beaujolais. Like, save those for another day. Those are my favorite two wines, period. But I'm putting those aside for a day where we're not having pork and lamb and
maybe a day where we have chicken.
There you go. Or just a day, seafood, chicken, or just a day where you're not eating anything at all, or appetizers. Okay. Yeah, right, exactly. And so the Rhone is where I would go here. Pick a nice Côte de Rhone, which is like you're going to find a Côte de Rhone in like the 13 to 20 point price point range at Total Wine and More. Oh shoot, I forgot our sponsor. This segment is Wine of the Week. This segment is sponsored by Total Wine and More, where we will give you a wine recommendation that you can find on the shelves at your local Total Wine and More. Wine of the Week is going to be it's going to be a Rhone, and Rhones generally grape varieties are going to be Syrah, Grenache, Mourvedre, Cinsault, and generally you're going to find blends of those. A Côte de Rhone is going to be a blend of those. If you're a loyal listener of Deep Dive Daily, you'll remember those are the same varieties that they use to make Côte de Provence rosé, but they use it for red blends in the Rhone Valley. The price point again for a Côte de Rhone is going to be like 13 to 20. They are all good. It's incredible value for French wine, for my money at least. My go-to for that is Kermit Lynch's blend, but I don't think they sold it at Total Wine More. Sorry, guys. The crown jewel, though, if you're going to see your brother's house, if you're going to spend time with family, if you're going to see your parents, and you want to bring something nice, you can't do better than a Chateau Neuf de Pas. Gesundheit. Have you ever had a Chateau Neuf de Pas?
I don't believe I have.
Really? Okay. Do you know anything about the history of Chateau Neuf de Pas?
I mean, yes.
Do you know what it means?
No.
It means it's basically it's the new home of the Pope. New home of the Pope. And do you know why they call it that? Is because back in 14th century, we'll say, maybe 15th century, the Pope moved from Rome to France. Weird. But he took up residence in a chateau in a little town called Avignon. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But down in the Rhone Valley, Avignon. And the wine growing region around there, one of the oldest in all of Europe. Certainly the oldest in France, and the oldest AOC in France. AOC, of course, stands for
Aidan O'Connell.
It stands for Appellation Original Control, or something along those lines, which is basically like it's kind of a governing body of the quality and style of wine from a given region. And the first one ever established was Chateau Neuf de Pas. They do really great Rhone blends there. You're going to find a lot of Grenache Syrah blends. A Syrah in general is going to be it's more of a it's got tannins, it's got leather, It's got some spice, some pepper. There's berry and kind of blackberry generally that you'll find in the Syrah blends. But Chateau Neuf de Pas, more expensive, and a good kind of Easter wine. The label, if you want a label, and by the way, Chateau Neuf de Pas, if you go from Côte de Rhône to Neuf de Pas in terms of a step up in terms of price point, you're talking about like 20 to like 40, right? So you're going to spend more on a bottle, but it's going to be better. You can go older because the longer it's sat on the shelf, the longer it's been laid down. The tannins are going to be a little softer, which is nice. And if you want a specific label, we will recommend this one. This is my favorite, Chateau Neuf de Pas. Domaine Bois de Boursan. Exactly. This is as good as it gets for my money in Chateau Neuf de Pas. I've only tried probably 10 or 15 in my life, but this one stands out and is the one I look for. Yeah, I would say that basically whatever you're having that's anywhere close to traditional Easter fare would go well with this. And now you have a story about the Pope moving to France that's kind of in line with the holiday otherwise.
Maybe we'll watch Conclave. Maybe we'll just hang
out. Yeah, we didn't get our Conclave this year, even though there were betting markets for that.
Oh God, yeah, I thought he was done for.
Anyway, so good luck, Côte de Rhône. If you're in the 13 to 20 point range, Chateau Neuf de Pas.
15 seconds to name a white. I need a white too. My wife.
15 seconds.
I'd go
white burgundy.
We talked about Albarino, but
that's a good one. I would go white burgundy personally.
I'm white burgundy.
White burgundy. Yes, Ron Burgundy, white burgundy.
And then the gift basket. I'll figure it out. I'm just gonna go to Hy-Vee. I'll go to the grocery store.
Where you should go is Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's has they have very cool little quirky snack things that feel like original. They don't feel like Trader Joe's. You know what I mean?
There's a Trader Joe's
go to Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over there.
Yeah, get some it's the worst. The people in there. Oh my God! If you're a regular Trader Joe's shopper,
and the parking lot is
not on my.
Hey, what if we made a parking lot to?
Oh, parking lots are the worst.
To make you the maddest you've ever been.
Why is this common between California and Minnesota? What is wrong? What is going on?
Ours is like basically ours is like next to a stoplight where if you're the second car waiting for the stoplight, you're in the way in the parking lot. It is maddening. And I drive a full-size truck.
Sure.
So, I'm extra in the way.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
I might walk there. Look, I might just walk there.
If it wasn't for them having specifically good things to put in a gift basket, I wouldn't do it.
No, it is a good call. It's the correct one.
They actually also have good European wine. Again, sorry to the Totmo folks. Don't buy your wine at Trader Joe's, buy it at Totmo. But all said and that's where you want to stock it up. They have these really good like little Parmesan twisty straws, Oh, those are super good. Lots of fun stuff there. Anyway,
that day that I made
how long is your drive?
To Trader Joe's, like a minute.
No, to your brother's house in Wisconsin.
Oh, it's probably a good 2 hours.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Because there's no straight line.
Yeah, that's like driving from here to Beverly Hills.
Yeah, it stinks, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I have a busy Saturday. Also, I have to pick up a shitload of rock salt. That is the fundraiser. No, that's the softener salt for like your water softener.
Oh,
that's the fundraiser that the baseball and softball teams do in our school. Is you sell softener salt because everybody uses softener salt. But it's like, yeah, that's true. But everybody uses gas cards too, and they're much lighter. So I'm like, don't sell too much. We can just give them money. This sucks. Like I have to go pick up a bunch of bags of softener salt and then deliver them to people like 4 at a time. It's that's the nightmare part of this weekend. Otherwise, Easter I'm pumped for, and yeah, we'll see you guys Monday.
Okay. couple of comments I wanted to respond to. Sam's stat, because
Oysters.
I can give you the list is so long. You almost need to hit me up in the Discord for this. But food and drink recommendations in New Orleans, you kind of can't go wrong. The warehouse district is where all the good stuff is right now, though. Like anything that's like in and around Bourbon Street or the French Quarter is going to be a little bit too touristy for the Authentico kind of New Orleans experience. Go to the warehouse district, which is between basically between Canal and like the freeway. There's like a bunch of really good restaurants there. Pesci seafood stands out. Cochon, if you want like a butcher meat cut for food. Both had awesome drinks as well. The Sidecar Patio and Oyster Bar had the raw oysters that I would go to war for, and that almost killed me. The giant ones, not almost killed me, but like were just absurdly large. Shucker's Choice wild caught oysters. The Rusty Nail and the Sidecar Patio Oyster Bar were a great experience. But basically, like the hot spots right now in New Orleans for food and drink and entertainment are all in the warehouse district. So, yeah, man. Ready to call it a week? Ready to call it a week?
We'll do a full podcast next week, although this was
we will do a podcast probably on Tuesday, we think, right? For the draft?
Yeah, give it a little more room to breathe.
It'll be a little bit like this one, except hopefully some actionable stuff. Maybe we'll have some true, we may have some bangers. Maybe not.
Next week for golf, I won't be overly involved in golf, so I have time.
Why? What's golf next week?